right, ready? Teddy's bumping into the camera, well, whatever, the legs of the tripod. You silly goose. Ready? We'll do a little find it. So Mr. T did sneak out for a little potty break. He definitely had to go to the restroom, which was fine. So I want to try a little bit with some take it and drop it's potentially. I know we still have his mess on the floor here, but I don't think he minds. So when you're sometimes working with your puppy, I know we've dived into a little bit of this take it and drop it's with some of the boys throughout the whole class today. But it can be really nice for your puppy to have items that are chew appropriate. So these are called like puller rings. There are like the legit puller ring, which is technically like the name brand. And then there's others that are technically, for example, a knockoff variety. So these ones are the knockoff, which they come in like a 4-pack for like around $24 or so. You may find for some puppies working a little bit with take it and drop it, playing with a tuggy. These can be great ways for your puppy to have an outlet that involves using their mouth, but on appropriate things. If though your puppy is already overtired and now you think because they're being wild they need more exercise, that will have a very definite opposite effect, where sometimes an overtired puppy can look like a puppy that's very interested in more play, but technically might get so overtired that they become really mouthy. So if you're finding that he is kind of finding himself to be really tired, and then we're adding more stimulation, he may not love these right now, which is fine, but if we're adding more stimulation, that might be the exact opposite of what we might have to do. So I do recommend to include some novelty too, because even if he's not really going for these toys, we're throwing in a little bit of some movement, and that like these wiggly toys don't have to be scary or overwhelming. He's more interested in the food today, which is fine. Like I mentioned prior, there's going to be moments where some of the puppies are much more comfortable offering certain skills in one venue versus another. So if maybe Mr. Handsome is already rather tired and these toys do not seem as intriguing, there are some puppies that prefer softer items or softer tuggy toys versus rubber. So just finding the right item. So I'm maybe going to grab some of the other little toys and see if he might be interested. Ready, sir? So for a lot of the puppies, he's like, I caught it. I do recommend a tuggy on a longer lead. He's like, yes, I've caught it. Come here, my little monkey. So the reason I recommend a training, sort of a training method that involves also incorporating play, he's like, now I'm all tangled, is this allows your puppy to practice that biting and grabbing and shaking on an appropriate item that would be a dog toy of some kind versus your little's toys or whatever might be available. So right here, as Mr. T is practicing grabbing and tugging or playing with a toy, nice. I might even go right into a little moment where I get that little kissy noise and feed for that engagement with me. I'm not going to take the toy away, but we're going to make it come alive again. So this way, we're building in that sometimes we can get excited and then from the excitement come back. So because for a lot of puppies, as they get really excited, they almost have very little brain function. And it's normally the mouth is the only thing that's like functional. So I would recommend that throughout some of the play, you then practice helping him disengage. Nice. So right here, good check-in with his little kissy noise. I'm going to feed him for that. Then I might say, again, you ready? Teddy. He's like thinking about it. He's like, I'm going to get all those tidbits. So then we might have the toy come alive and it can wiggle. Oh my goodness, so close. Good catch. So when your puppy catches the critter, they can again, grab the toy and play. But I also like to have it where the toy comes alive, and then from that excitement, we practice then letting go as well. So because if your puppy has a harder time as the arousal goes up, then in the real world settings, when they get either too excited or a little distracted or flustered, they might have a hard time coming back. So play can be a great way to practice sort of revving the engine, but then practicing putting the brakes on. So we might go, Teddy, ready? He's like, hold up, through the legs. Oh, now we found snacks, so that's okay. So you would eventually do like his name, get his attention, you could feed for that. Then you could instead build in for a drop it, give, or out. Oh, smart man. And then feed for those releasing moments of the item. Ready? Go get it. It's always embarrassing when you're playing and the snack falls out of your mouth and you have to go grab it again. Ready? Go get it. He's like, oh my gosh, but I'm almost done cleaning up my mess. What a good job. Well, at least he's earning his food by doing some tidying up. 2, if you find he's not as involved with his food, sometimes scatter feeding can be a nice way to build in some extra enrichment. You might find like right now outside in the snow, if it's safe to do so, you can take some of his kibble and scatter it in the snow, and now he has to go work to find them all. And that's a really good mental and physical exercise, especially for a puppy too. So again, right here, we might go ready, drop it. Yes, nice job. So with the drop it, I want to make sure that if I'm going to ask for it, I'm pretty certain he's gonna know what it means to let go, or I'm going to help him through it. If, let's say, I asked and he's like, what the heck? I'd make sure to, for example, either do a find it in the beginning to build up that letting go has a really good association with a nice big jackpot on the floor. And then that way you could build in some of this lovely play, and you could go, ready? Oh, what a smart boy. So let's say he's got the toy. I'm going to go, Teddy, drop it. Yes. And then feed for the let go. He's so handsome. All these boys are so stinking cute. Mr. T says, I got to find all my tidbits that I left on the floor. Ready? So go get it. The boys are going to go home so tired today. They've all done a really nice job. Nice. And then 2, for the amount of exercise or types of play, he is a large breed puppy, so St. Bernard, Great Pyrenees, and I believe German Shepherd. And with all of those lovely boys or girls, I don't know who was who, you are going to want to make sure that his flooring has traction. This could happen to any dog, though, so it doesn't have to be a large breed dog. But because it takes them almost 2.5 to 3 years to fully be done growing and developing, you may want to have parts of your flooring that might be all hardwood or tile to have some sort of rugs here and there so he doesn't slip and slide. A lot of puppies do end up hurting themselves from puppyhood into teenagehood well before they're even adults because of the flooring and the lack of traction. Yes, nice check-in. So because if your puppy slips and slides while playing, they're more than likely going to potentially hurt themselves. So if he starts doing some jumping, I either wait for a moment where he's soft or I ask him to do the skill I'd rather. So ready, go get it. So you'll see that when it's always embarrassing, the food fell out again. So while we're playing here, obviously this environment has rubber flooring. Even my house, I know, does not have rubber flooring everywhere, so I get it. But I try to make sure to play either on carpet where there's more traction, but you also want to be careful about what types of play you might be doing. So fetching is okay. But I'd recommend to keep an eye keep it to a minimum and make sure it's not high intensity sort of fetching. So if your puppy is running full speed, turning, pivoting, sliding, kind of doing some crazy moves, you're more than likely either going to create some potential damage. Puppies as young as 1 are now showing signs of arthritis, and it's typically because of repetitive high intensity play like a chuck it. Or just fetching. So fetching does have a place and it can be really nice, but normally you want to be careful as to how hard you're going and for how long and what your pup's age group might be. If your puppy is going really hard, you may not realize it, but he could be causing damage, and a lot of dogs do hide injuries. So we don't want to, before he's even done growing, cause problems. So also for him, not saying you must, but I know a lot of vets and breeders now are recommending to wait until altering till about, for him, 2.5 maybe. Even some might recommend 3. But at least 18 to 24 months is what most vets are recommending. So the reason behind that is your bones and ligaments are not done growing. Nice job. But for a boy dog, for example, even testosterone, same thing for the girls, even their estrogen and some of these other hormones play a role in developmental, both mental and physical. So dogs that have been altered really young do run the risk of bone and ligament problems, as well as sometimes even confidence and fear could be an issue for some that are altered very young, and that's under 6 months. So with your babe, again, do whatever you feel comfortable rocking with your veterinarian, but I know it would be good to get a really nice educated sort of dynamic to know where you stand in the concept. But with my guy, one of my dogs, he is unaltered and he's 3.5. So I'm not going and adding to the population problem. Like, he's very well managed, so there's no like lady friends nearby. but there are plenty of dogs that live intact and do beautiful. But I understand if you're worried about potential for breeding, if you're worried about potential for dog aggression with like the same intact males, there can be moments where altering has its benefits. So just like with anything, there's pros and cons to both sides. With female dogs, you can also run the risk of, sadly, like a uterine infection and a lot of these other issues. So if I ever had a female dog, I would normally wait to alter till she's about 2 or a year and a half, give or take the breed. But it's, again, personal preference, but also educated guess at your end for what you'd prefer through your vet as well. But I do find for a lot of the large breed dogs, it can be really beneficial to avoid injuries because they've got so much growing to do, and those hormones do play a factor. So, but he's doing a really nice job with some of these tuggy and take it and drop it exercises for starters. We'll maybe give him a little breather from that. Huh, sir? And maybe we'll try a little bit with some, weights with him too, just to see how those are feeling. So with the weight position, again, we would want our boy to either be sitting or downing. He could do it stationary standing if it was really hard to work a sitter down. We're going to tell him to wait. And then from here, we'd go teddy come and we'd bring him into our space. If, again, in the beginning, I do recommend think about your 3Ds. So there's your distances, your durations, and your distractions that you're dealing with while also working on something novel or building the skill up. So we're going to have that sit. Oh, itchy armpit. And sometimes you'll see that they're wearing right through the legs. So sometimes they're wearing equipment, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they have their harnesses, sometimes they don't. So the reason I do that is I don't want my puppy to think the only time I can be functional is when my leash is attached. Or when my leash is attached and I'm feeling overwhelmed, what if I just start eating it? So there's going to be moments where I do a little bit of both because I want my puppies to feel comfortable in both dynamics. He's like, ooh, curtains. Yes. So right there, as opposed to saying no or yelling at him for going towards the curtain, I would just do my positive interrupter and regain his attention. You're doing a very nice job, sir. So if, though, your puppy is struggling while they're off gear and they're able to go do things, that's when gear can be like your training wheels and prevent him from getting into mischief when you need him to be attentive. He's like, maybe I want to go outside again. Ready? Teddy, come. He's like, no, I must go to the restroom. So maybe what we'll do is we'll give Mr. T, good job, sir, a little bit of a breather. Notice how if he's struggling, I'm going to go a little closer to help him get near. But we'll call it a day for Mr. Handsome Pants because he's getting kind of tired. And all the men did a very nice job. Oh, chewing is still optional. But we're going to bring him out for another little pee break, and then we'll see how he's doing. We'll rotate through some more of our friends. But really great job for Mr. T today, especially for day number 1.